Well, the world didn't end. Some people were saying it would end in 2012. Others said it would end when the sequester took place, and neither one happened. Now that the sequester is in force, the issue is, how does it play politically? From the very beginning, Obama has had two goals in fighting against sequester. One was to try to make spending cuts so negative that nobody ever tried to do them again, to make them seem so horrific that nobody ever tried, the Republicans would give up trying to cut spending. And secondly, to warn everybody that if the sequester went through, the economy might fall apart. So that when it does fall apart, which I think it will, not because of sequester, but because of the tax increases he passed, he's going to blame sequester. $300 billion of tax hikes, $85 billion of sequester. He's going to say, oh no, the tax hikes had nothing to do with it. It was that sequester that caused all of this. And at his press conference, the day sequester took place this past Friday, he said, so if the economy begins to slow down, I think people will understand that it's probably because of these cuts in sequester. Absolutely absurd. Now, remember the origin of sequester. When the debt ceiling came up for renewal or for raising in August of 2011, they negotiated a package, which has been pretty good, of $1 trillion of spending cuts over the next 10 years. But they couldn't do the full level of spending cuts that they thought they needed to do. So they agreed that they would pass those later, raise the debt limit back then, not hold them hostage for the spending cuts. And then, if by any faint chance Congress couldn't get together on the cuts, on that level of cuts, then sequester would take place automatically, would be an automatic trigger, and the day for it was March 1st. And they couldn't get together, and the sequester did take effect, and that's what we're talking about. But the cuts are fairly minor. $45 billion in domestic spending, discretionary spending. That rolls discretionary spending back to the level it was at when Obama took office. And we weren't starving then. Kids weren't being thrown out of school then. Illegal immigrants weren't being released from prison then. And the level of defense cuts, another $45 billion, also reduces the defense budget to the level it was at when Obama took office. And after all, that was in the middle of two wars. We're now going to be, we're out of Iraq, we're pulling out of Afghanistan. So what was adequate 4 years ago probably is not all that inadequate now. And you can't go by all the bluster that you hear, because it's mainly defense contractors that don't want to lose their business. So I believe that these cuts are fine, and I don't think they're going to have a negative effect, but I do think that the economy is going to crater because of these tax increases and because of the policies Obama's been following, and he's going to try to blame sequester. That's the blame game he's setting up. You have to realize that this guy's presidency goes from one excuse to another, going from branch to branch to branch. First, the recession was Bush's fault. Then it continued because Japan had the tsunami. Then it continued because of the after effects of the hurricane, of Sandy, of the crash in Europe, Greece. Everything is an excuse. The uncertainty about the debt limit, now the sequester. Whereas the real fact is that his economic policies are terrible, and he won't admit that. So that's the background. And I think the Republicans are coming through sequester pretty good. I also think Boehner deserves a real round of applause for once. He didn't flinch. He didn't back down. I was worried that he would. He did not. He stayed in there, and the Republicans got spending cut. That's quite an accomplishment. Thanks a lot for watching. Now stay tuned. At the end of this video, you'll have a chance to hear an interview conducted by Aaron DeHogue, the financial editor of Newsmax, with a top economist who is predicting an unmitigated disaster in the economy coming up very soon. This tape is so controversial that an Obama donor actually tried to ban it. But it's worth looking at when you hear the optimistic predictions being made by the mainstream economists. It's time to get a second opinion. Thanks for watching.